Hi, this is Dave. Hey, today's video is on how to pick your nose. So let's jump right into it. The first thing that's really the fundamental concept when picking your nose is that you have to be aware of the moisture level. Boogers range from, stringy wet to, oh my God, I believe it's become a part of my body dry. And the very first step to picking your nose is to conduct a little bit of due diligence, to be aware of the moisture content of the booger. So we all, at some point in time during the day, become aware of a booger. And that leads to the necessity of conducting some due diligence on the moisture content of that booger. Because we know intuitively that the drier it is, the more easy the extraction is. And the degree to which it becomes more moist is the degree to which it becomes messy, problematic, not a good thing to do in public. So here's what you do. You do the due diligence booger picking maneuver, and it goes something like this. Very simple. Basically what that does is it gives you a little bit of information. There's two motions. Let me do it in slow motion so that you can actually see it. Ready? Yeah, okay. So what I did there, the first thing was to, I'm creating a little bit of pressure. I think that perhaps the booger might be in this nostril. So what I'm doing is I'm creating a little bit of pressure here so that I can get a feel for where the booger is at. And then when I do this, it's just kind of a confirmation of, is there anything else in there? Now, what you get in this, and you may not have thought about this, but when you do this, what you're really getting is information about wetness and a little bit of size. So like if when you squeeze you get a fair amount of resistance back, it's probably a less moist booger, and or could be a larger one. Whereas if you don't get a whole lot of pushback, it might be a little bit smaller. The other thing that you can do, particularly if the booger is dry, is that you're going to be able to tell where the booger actually is located within your nose. Obviously, the farther back it is, the deeper it is, the more problematic it is, particularly in public settings. And that's really the tension. None of us really worry too much about picking our nose when we're at home because we have privacy and we don't have to worry too much about what other people think, unless it's like spouses or whatever. So whatever your domestic situation is. So what we do is we need to understand what's the moisture level. Now, once you understand the moisture level, the placement, and the size, then you can formulate in your mind a strategy for how you're going to go about removing the booger. Now, if it's dry, it's generally relatively straightforward to take out a dry booger because basically, let's say I have identified that I actually have a booger in this nostril, my right nostril, and I need to remove it, and it's somewhat dry. What I'll be able to do is this, just come in like that, and boom. And it's gone, right? Simple. And you see some people doing it in public sometimes, and personally, I don't really care that much. So if I've got a booger, I'm going to take it out. So that's my maneuver. Just go like this, boom, it's on my thumb, pow, it's dry, boom, I flick it, it's gone. Now, but here's the problem: if it's wet, if it has any degree of moisture whatsoever, this becomes very, very difficult because extraction and disposition become a very difficult situation. Extraction, because if you go in there and you can't quite get it with the thumb, then you got to go in deeper, right? So if you go in, you got it, and you got to hook it, right? You got to have a little bit of fingernail in there, and you just got to hook that booger out, and then pull something out. Disgusting, absolutely disgusting. So when you pull that booger out, you actually have to be able to dispose of it. Now, if it's wet, then it becomes very difficult to fling or to ping to go off with. So it's problematic, really. Don't worry, I wiped it off. There's no booger in my hair now. So the extraction is very difficult because if it's wet, it can string, right? I mean, you've had one of those before. It's like having a piece of gum stuck in your nose, right? You pull it right out, and that's not good. So and then once you get it out, whether it's regardless of how wet it is, then you have it. Now we have the problem of disposition. How do I dispose of this booger? Some people like to eat them. I might be one of them, but I might not. Yeah, maybe. But some people do. Some people like to eat the boogers. And so for those, then the situation becomes very simple because disposition is nothing more than it's gone. Did I eat my booger? Let's see that again in slow motion. No, it wasn't. Different finger. Okay, so that's the thing. You've got the extraction and the disposition issue to deal with. And the higher the moisture content, the more difficult it is to deal with. Now, here's a final tip. If you have a wet booger and you need to dispose of it in public, you have a slight problem. And that problem is you can't fling a wet booger. You can't do it because it's going to stick to your finger. Got a booger on the finger and can't get it off, right? So here's what you have to do. You got to roll it around a little bit. I'm sorry, I wish there was another way to do this, but the bottom line is you got to roll it around for just a little bit. Then you can do a little test, right? And again, guys, these are subtle movements here. We all know these. Well, nope, it's not quite tacky enough yet. It's not quite dry. So we're rolling it around. But the thing is you're trying to do this subtly. So, for example, you're standing up, and you're at Best Buy or something. Now, imagine there's a wet booger there. There's not really, but imagine it. And so now you're at Best Buy, and you pick up a video, and you're looking at the case of the video, going, I wonder, but meanwhile, the right hand is over here, down to the side, going, and you just roll the finger back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and then boom, it becomes dry. And we all know when that happens. When it's like, oh yeah, it's dry enough now. And then you can just go bing, and off it goes. And no problem. I mean, there's a problem for somebody else. Like the janitor's going to come in, he's going to be cleaning Best Buy, sweeping it with the sweeper, and he's going to go, oh my God, there's a booger. And he's going to be pissed. But you won't be there, and they won't be able to track it to you, so what do you care, right? That's what you do. It's gone. And then, if you think that this is just for the common man, let me show you a video of nobody, what am I trying to say? Of someone who is very famous. You might not have heard of him, but his name is Michael Schumacher, and Michael has the process down. Let's take a look. Michael Schumacher on the left, there he goes. Assessment and extraction all in the same movement, and now he's rolling it around in his finger. You can tell, you can see the movement. He's rolling it around, playing with it, being a little bit subtle. He's playing with it actually too much, so my guess is this is a fairly moist booger, and there's going to be a fair amount of movement to get this thing dried out. But soon you're going to see, he's getting, boom, it's gone. Michael Schumacher, he's a pro. So there you have it. That's how you pick your nose in an 8-minute video. Way too fucking long.